Hey, welcome back to this video. In this one, we're going to be talking about how to buy Lamborghini Huracan. I know in the last one, if you haven't seen it, go ahead and check that one out. But we talked about how to buy a Gallardo as an entry-level supercar for like 900 to 1,000 a month. If you're making anywhere from 5 to 6, maybe 7K. Now, if you want a Huracan, this is going to be a little bit pricier, especially now with inflation. Prices of these have gone up to, the same prices they were back in 2017, which is pretty crazy to see. So we're going to search nationwide here on Car Gurus. This is my preferred site to look at because it shows all the listings, like 317 listings. You can kind of get a range of what they're trading for. We'll put lowest price first and see, what's the lowest price Huracans here. Now, let's go ahead and check this out. Interesting enough, I don't know why these are 145,000. Doesn't make sense. I mean, they are. This is a race car. This is the super Trofeo looking, Huracan. The mileage might be totally off. They're not street legal. These ones aren't street legal. So this is not. I wouldn't look at these. Okay, so. But let's just say the lowest price Huracan, as we could see, with almost 30,000 miles, is $205,000. Okay, if we put the miles to any, that'll repopulate. The highest mileage Huracan is 48,000 miles, $185,000. Absolutely insane. Because I remember this car back in 2017, 2018, you could pick one up for 185 with 15,000 or less miles. Okay, brand new, almost brand new. But now you're paying those same prices nowadays. Okay, so one thing to notice on the Huracans, I don't trust dealerships in Florida. I've heard a lot of bad things about dealerships in Florida. Now, it is what it is. If you work at a dealership in Florida, I'm sorry, but this is what I've heard. I'm not saying the authorized dealers. If it's an authorized Lamborghini dealer, obviously you're backed by warranty and stuff like that. But if it's just a small dealer in Florida, there have been, things that I've heard. So like rolling back the car to, put the mileage down, or floods, like the car's been flooded, but it never got reported on the Carfax, this and that. Just, keep that in mind. Okay. So if you're buying a Huracan, I would say if you're making anywhere from like 8 to 10K or more, great. You're going to be definitely more comfortable with a car like this. I would say probably if you can make closer to 100,000 a year at minimum, that would be best. Obviously, depends on your budget. Depends. Obviously, I don't want you to stretch yourself. That is not the point of driving exotic cars, because they're here to be enjoyed and to be driven with enjoyment, and not the stress of like the car payment. Okay, even though it will be a significant car payment, but compared to like a brand new Mercedes or a Porsche or something, you're going to be paying about the same, for a brand new one if you put zero down. So let's go ahead and go into it. I definitely would put the mileage down to 30 or less, so we're just put 31. All right, that's going to readjust. 205,000, that's the cheapest you're going to get in Ohio. Lamborghini 580-2, so this is not an all-wheel drive. That's another thing to factor in. Like for 205, I would stretch it another 10K to get the LP 610-4. All right, because that's how many horsepower it has, 610, and it's all-wheel drive. All right, let's go ahead and compare these two. All right, 29,000 miles. If you look at it, pretty much all plastic parts, nothing significantly, showy in this car. The seats are like very basic. I think these are comfort seats. Just not the nicest spec. Like this is very plasticky. All this is plasticky. And that's going to affect the resale value. That's going to affect when the inflation comes down or the car market comes down. This car is the first to go to 150K, and you don't want that to happen overnight. In a month or two, you lost 50K on your car. Now when you sell it, you're in the water. Okay, you're in the hole. So that's something that you need to factor in. So how can you mitigate that? Well, you buy a spec that's more desirable and has a lower mileage. Okay, so I would spend an extra 10K to take that risk, because if this goes down 50K, this car might go down 30 or 35, right? So you spent 10 more, but essentially you mitigated that 20K in risk, right? If this goes down 30, this goes down 50, you lost 50 no matter what on this car, and because you put down 10K more, you only lost 30 on this car. Okay, you see the difference there? And it has lower mileage, so you can get this up to 29,000 miles in a couple years, and you'd essentially, have the same mileage as this car. So let's look at this spec. White on black, very popular, very desirable spec. Let's check out the inside, okay? Inside, again, it doesn't look very... actually, the seats do have the yellow stitching, but I believe they're comfort seats as well. Let's go ahead and check this out. A little bit of Alcantara on the door. I don't know if the other one had that or not. We'll just kind of scroll through and just check this out. Forged carbon engine bay. This is different. The other one didn't have that. Yeah, so this is already looking nicer. Yeah, so this is one that I would definitely go for, because not only it's different, it's the LP 610-4, so it's all-wheel drive. You get the forged carbon engine bay. The rims look pretty sweet as well. Definitely a lot nicer than the other one. So this is kind of what I would go after. Look at those. I don't like those rims, but this one's pretty nice. Let's just, one sec. Let's just take a look to see how much it's going to be. So Salt Lake City, Utah. All right. So down payment. All right. So on a $200,000 vehicle, I would definitely be putting, 50K down. That's about 23%. 20%, I would say 20% minimum. Obviously, you could put if you're like a financially savvy person, you could put less down if you're buying the right car and buying it right. But for me, for my risk tolerance, I like to put the down payment that I know, worst case scenario, if the market crashes or something like that, and I have to get out of the car because I need the money or something like that, like worst case scenario, okay? And the car goes down 30K, I'm still good. So I won't owe money on the car if I have to sell it. That's the worst case scenario, is like owing money on the car when you have to sell it, because obviously you're selling it because you need the money, right? So you don't want to be underwater. And that's why I do the 50K down payment, because I know this car is not going to go down 50K. And I'll, if I sell it, I'll get a little bit of money back. All right. So that's just my risk tolerance. Yours might be higher. Yours might be lower. Maybe you want to put, 100K down or 75K. It's all up to you, right? It's your money. So your payment on this car, if you put 75K down, which is 35%, it's going to be about $2,000 bucks. If you do an 84-month loan, it's going to be about $1,900 to $2,000. All right. So if you're making 10K, obviously adjust for taxes and, adjust for that 2K monthly expense so that you have that buffer, right? So that you have that buffer and that. Or you could do if Lamborghini has the lease deals, you could just do a closed-end lease. But the reason I don't like the lease deals is because only if you have a business, great. If you can write that off on business, awesome. The lease deals are great. You just pick up the keys, put a little extra mileage, pay $1 per mile extra, and be good to go. But if you're buying it personally, I don't like the lease deals because you can't write it off, and the lease payment's going to be higher than this. It's going to be like $3,000, and you could only drive it 2,500 miles a year. If you're looking to daily this thing, you're going to put 5,000 miles min on it. So that's how to buy a Lamborghini Gallardo Huracan, and just kind of the pricing structure and kind of the spec sheet on what I would go for if I had to get this car. Desirable color, desirable spec, preferably all-wheel drive, preferably some carbon fiber parts, and that's pretty much how I would do it, okay? So hope you enjoyed this video. We'll get into the next one on how to buy an Aventador. Let's get into that.